The following program is rated TV MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Coming to you live.
We're live.
In front of an audience from around the world, where we talk about fighters, fighting, and events. Welcome to Fight World Live, where you can hear about the latest in the world of combat sports. Get ready to gear up and square up, because we are going live. And now, broadcasting live.
Super broadcast live.
This is Fight World Live.
Well, welcome to another edition of Fight World Live. I am here with four-time. World champion, Mr. Gabe. Gabe, what's going on, brother? How are you?
Good, man. Just finished teaching some classes at the world famous Kaiju MMA and Fitness.
Oh, very nice. Where's that gym located? One of the greatest gyms of all time on planet Earth, right?
In beautiful Tarzana, California.
Ooh, very nice, very nice. And I heard that you're giving away free trial classes.
Pretty much anyone who wants to come and try to class with our world-class staff is more than welcome to check it out. Kickboxing, MMA, jiu-jitsu, fitness, all types of fun stuff.
All types of fun things.
Yeah.
So Sam Avey is running late, raising kids and all that fun stuff. Obviously, has a very, very busy schedule. So in the meantime, I figured you and I shoot the breeze. I'm live here in beautiful Boston, Massachusetts for UFC 292. Obviously, we're going to talk about that with Mr. Gabe. Get your picks. Well, what are your thoughts overall on the card so far?
You know what? Let's see. Main event, I'm going Aljo. I'll take Sterling. I think O'Malley's a good fighter. I don't think he's got good movement. I just don't think I don't think he's as durable as Sterling, and then he hasn't really dealt with a ground specialist like Sterling. So yeah. I think those are going to be the deciding factors. And then I think the output. I think Sterling's got good output, especially for takedowns.
They're actually, and I don't mean to cut you off, they actually posted a video of Takanori Gomi getting tapped out and getting subbed by Sugar Sean. But at the same time, it was on UFC Fight Pass. It was during one of their grappling leagues where Sean, I call him Sugar Shane.
Yeah.
I'm so used to fucking calling him Sugar Shane. But Sugar Sean actually tapped out Takanori Gomi. And they're like, oh, look at this. He has a pretty good ground game. I'm like, yeah, but you put punches and kicks in the equation and how creative and elusive Sterling is. I mean, it's a whole different dynamic, you know?
I didn't know about that one. But two, it's like, someone like Miller tapping Sakuraba. Did you tap Sakuraba in his prime? No, you tapped him when he was, a broken old man. I mean, is that, do you still get to put that on your accolades? Yeah, but, did he tap Gomi when Gomi was the best fighter in the world, the top guy at 55? And also we need to remember that Gomi wasn't a submission specialist. He's really a decent wrestler, but he was not a submission specialist. As a matter of fact, And I'm still hating that I never got the opportunity. I got offered to fight him when he fought Marcus Aurelius. I was going to
wait. Hold on. You were going to fight Takanori Gomi.
Yeah, they were offering my manager to fight in Pride against Gomi, and I said, yeah, let's do it. And Ed Soares, who's my manager at the time, he goes, well, the UFC is looking at you. Let's see what we can move forward with that, because he knew a lot of what was going on in what was going on with like the potential for Pride being bought out. But the fight that I was supposed to do, and again, I'm not saying I would have won the fight, but was the fight that Marcus Aurelius armbarred him.
Right.
And I was, I was in that fight. I would love to have seen, because again, for me, I'm like, what do I have to lose? I'm fighting the best guy in the world. Fuck it, let's go out and do it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, Takanori Gomi, he was a dangerous fucking guy, and he was running through fucking shoot a box like a knife and butter, like fucking beating Joker and beating all these top tier strikers from fucking shoot a box. Like, yeah, until he ran to the brick wall known as Nick Diaz. And speaking about Nick Diaz, Nate Diaz lost to Jake Paul. Did you watch the fight by any chance?
Saw the highlights, and I hate to say it, but I like Nate. Nate's a good dude. I've no issue with him, but I thought he was going to lose. I just thought that Jake Paul was just bigger and had the ability to, Jake Paul beating Anderson was vastly more impressive than that to me. But it just is. But other people like to talk about like, oh, Jake Paul has also been really, really good at picking former MMA guys, and I will say that Nate is the best boxer of all the guys he fought, besides Anderson. But MMA striking is drastically different than boxing. And bring a boxer in MMA. Let's see how they do. Oh, we've seen that already, and we see how that works.
Yes, we did. We did.
And I did hear that they're gonna fight again in MMA, and that actually intrigues me even more.
Yeah, because Nate Diaz is a very, very good fucking black belt. And if you fight Gabe, you're a black belt. Like Jake Paul, in all regards, he has a high school wrestling background in boxing. But when a white belt, blue belt, I don't care, even a purple belt, and I'm at blue, even anybody training with a black belt, a legit black belt, like it's so humbling, because they can kill you and put your lights out like that. And they know that they're 4 steps ahead of you when you're trying to just set up some shit, and they know exactly what you're going to set up, where you're going to go and pivot. I think that is the dumbest fucking move if Jake Paul takes that fight, because again, you're a black belt, better than anybody, but you roll with a fucking white belt and a blue belt, even a purple belt. That's fucking shark infested waters, and that's quicksand. And
I will say this: being a jiu-jitsu black belt does not make you a good fighter. And I've trained with a lot. When I was a purple belt and a brown belt, I trained with world champion black belts. And MMA, they were not nearly the problem they were if we were just doing grappling.
Really?
But Nate is a black belt in jiu-jitsu that is an MMA black belt in jiu-jitsu, which is a different animal all in all. January puts it all together. He can punch you. He'll punch you on the ground. He has, I think it's an interesting fight. It's much more interesting than the boxing, but I hope it happens, and I hope that Nate makes a lot of money and subs him.
Fucking terrifying. And I don't know if UFC. I think UFC is going to have a problem though if, like, let's just say hypothetically speaking, the PFL does offer Nate Diaz a contract, and they say, hey, come over and fight Jake Paul. I think UFC might have something to say about it. Wouldn't you say that so?
I mean, they can say whatever they want. He's not on contract. He has, he has nothing to give to the UFC. If they're going to give him a $10 million contract, unless the UFC is like, here's 15, there's not a whole lot the UFC can say. It's not like one of those situations where they have him locked in contract. They let him do a boxing match, like a Conor. Like it's not a Conor situation. His contract is over. They can say whatever the hell they want to say.
True. That's fair. So, are you ready to go into 5 topics, good sir? I think Mr. Sam Avey is not going to be here tonight.
That's fine.
I think we're going to have to catch him on the rebound and the flippy flop because, obviously he's a very busy guy, and, all of respects to him. He's one of my favorite guests, and hopefully we get him on a rebound. What's up?
How many kids does he have?
A lot.
Anything over one is enough to make life. Well, one is enough to make your life difficult. More than one, it gets definitely more of a hassle. Not a hassle. Hassle is the wrong word, but it makes life more difficult to stage things and do things.
Yeah, I take care of my fucking cat, and it's very hard to balance out training between, even taking care of a fucking animal. Imagine kids. I don't mean to make a comparison with kids, but holy shit. You know what I'm saying?
I can imagine I have two.
All right.
All right, let's go. Let's go.
All right, let's go. Mr. Gabe, and obviously Jake is indisposed at the moment, so he's not going to be joining us. But with 4-time, I was about to say 5-time. I overcompensate with everything. You know what I'm saying? But nevertheless, let's go with 4-time world champion, Mr. Gabe, into 5 topics. We ask the viewers at home to provide 5 topics to ask professional fighters. And Gabe, you fit the bill considering being a 4-time world champion, BJJ black belt, owner of one of the most prestigious gyms on planet Earth, Kajuya MMA and Fitness, brought to you by Kajuya MMA and Fitness in Tarzana, California. So you fit the bill of asking these 5 topics. So are you ready for topic number 1, good sir?
Let's go.
Okay, let's go. Topic number 1. Let's go. Shit. So they announced Logan Paul versus Dylan Dennis. Let the trolling begin. So Dylan Dennis, they announced the fight, and Dylan Dennis right now on Twitter is poaching. Gabe, wake up. Gabe, wake up.
What's the topic?
Talking about BJJ black belts. They announced the fight, and Dylan Dennis has taken to Twitter, and he's now talking about Logan Paul's wife and actually posting pictures of Logan Paul's wife with all the men she's supposedly been with. A lot of hype. Dylan Dennis is pretty much leading the way when it comes to the hype train of this fight. What say you, Logan Paul versus Dylan Dennis for October? Press conference is coming at you August 22nd. What do you think? What do you think about this fight?
One of the first times I think in my entire life that I've wanted a Paul brother to succeed. Dylan Dennis is a black belt, but God, is he cringy? Like, he is like the king of cringe. There are guys that are cringy, but dude, Dylan Dennis is on a different level. God, it's so hard. And here's the other part: is he was kicked out of who's a black belt under? Why am I?
Shit! I know the name. I know the fucking name. I know the name.
I know. I've trained with the guy, and he's such a great individual and such a badass black belt. And I'm drawing a blank, but he got kicked out of his school. And I'm telling you, like Marcelo Garcia.
Well done, Gabe. Holy shit, you got it.
Guys, one of the most gangster ass black belts. The fact that Marcelo Garcia kicked him out of his schools tells me a lot about what a piece of shit Dylan Dennis is. So I don't care. I don't care at all. I hope Logan Paul knocks him the fuck out. And I think it's funny that I don't know anything about Logan Paul's wife, but I mean, it's a little shrewd that he's putting. I'm guessing all the guys she dated are they famous, or I don't know anything.
Apparently, she hooked up with Leonardo DiCaprio, and she was seeing pictures. Yeah.
Who hasn't? I hooked up with Leonardo DiCaprio when I was in my
You might have. You very well might have hooked up with Leonardo DiCaprio. Game.
Awesome. Yeah. As soon as I hit, I knew that when I was 25, when I turned 26, he wouldn't want me anymore. But who cares? You know what I mean? Who your wife has been with in the past is the past, and you can sit there and be upset about it, but I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, but I like Dylan Dennis also started training. So Dylan Dennis, someone just texted me and watching the show, but nevertheless, somebody actually. So he started training with our gym in Hoboken Jiu-Jitsu. And I think Dylan Dennis, and I've been in boxing classes with him, I think Dylan Dennis is the nicest guy on the planet.
Really?
And yeah, so nice to me, so respectful, lets me shoot the shit with him, talks like a normal individual, no ego about him, nothing like that. Like, and also after the fight he had with Nate Diaz, because I was working UFC in Madison Square Garden, I went over to the after party of Izzy, and apparently he got kicked out of Izzy's after party. My cousin got to go. I could not attend because I was working until like 4 a.m. You know how long the post-fight press conferences and everything goes. But I got there late at closing, and I talked outside with him and just shot the shit with him for like a good 30 minutes.
So a couple of things there. He's getting kicked out of every after party. He got kicked out of Marcelo Garcia's gym. There's got to be something else there. And now, admittedly, he was friendly with you, and I mean, you know, I'll tell you, there are a lot of people that when you're talking to them come off very, very friendly, and that is in a lot of ways them just putting on a front to ensure that when they meet somebody that the person's like, no, they're super friendly, they're super nice. I don't know, but I take your word for it, and I, you know, obviously you and I are friends, and but I still want Logan Paul to win, which is I don't think that. I mean, that feels gross.
But Gabe, here's a major question: will you be watching that pay-per-view?
No.
Of course you're not going to watch that pay-per-view.
Yeah, I would not. I would not even. It's not even worth streaming for free. I wouldn't even go out of my way to look for it in some nefariously free stream of any sort. Nope, I don't care.
So if I gave you the link for an illegal stream, you would not watch, you would not partake or indulge yourself in watching it.
Correct.
Okay.
You are correct, sir.
Fair enough, sir. Okay. On that note, are you ready for topic 2? Oh shit. There's no more topics that get Gabe going. Let's go to the fucking topic number 2.
Just a little ditty about 2.
UFC 292 picks and predictions, and we'll just go with the co-main event and the main event. Obviously, you were talking about Sterling, and you were talking about his chances. I have to agree with you. I think Sterling is probably going to win this fight. I'm rooting and pulling for Sterling. Obviously, he trains with Ray Longo. Shout out to great coach Longo, and amazing individual, amazing team. Steamroller, I was actually talking to. Big shout to Matt Friola. I was actually talking to him on Instagram this morning, asking if he was coming. He's coming Saturday morning. Bring the cheese roller, his little brother. So him, his wife, and cheese roller are coming through. I love their entire team. I'm going with Sterling. And obviously, what say you? And what was the biggest thing and biggest indicators that made you say, okay, Sugar Sean O'Malley is not going to win this fight?
I mean, look, can he win? He absolutely can win. I don't think that O'Malley is a bad fighter. He's actually a really good fighter. I just feel that Sterling has fought more quality opponents and when you're the champion and you've done the 5 rounds over and over and over again, that says something. And I think his wrestling capability, we haven't seen Shane fight a really good grappler. I mean, we go with the Jan fight, but my personal feeling is he lost the Leon fight. And as a matter of fact, if you look at his face after the fight, he thought he lost the Leon fight too. I just don't see. I mean, can he win? Look, MMA is such a. That's I think one of my favorite things about MMA is you can sit there and say whatever you want, and when it comes time to go, whoever wins wins. But I don't see his path the same way that I see O'Malley's path. I'm sorry, Sterling's path.
It was so funny at the presser. Fucking Merab comes down, and I see him coming down with the Michael Jackson throw jacket. And just to add context to it, he actually stole the jacket. So when Sterling won in New Jersey, when Sterling won in fucking New Jersey, took off the jacket. Fucking Merab picked it up, put it on, and put on his fucking jacket. Just strolled over in the shot, like, "Hey, everybody! Like, I'm Merab." I high five Merab, like he's like, "What's up, brother?" I'm like, "Hey, Merab, I see you still have the jacket."
He took the jacket and brought it out.
He wore the jacket to the press conference, and
Well,
fucking, you could see Sugar Sean O'Malley just look fucking infuriated.
I mean, there's a tactic in that. That's some psychological warfare. But the co-main, I go Wheeler. I'll be honest, I don't know anything about her opponent whatsoever. I kind of looked her up. I think she's got 2 losses, but Wheeler she's just so crisp. She's got really nice striking. Her grappling is vastly improved. I think she's just one of the tougher female champions out there. I just don't see how the other girl can can it happen again? Once again, it's a fight, and anything can happen, and we saw that with Munoz and what's her name. But I'm going Wheeler.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Wheeler as well. Wheeler, I want her to win, is because there's another prominent Chinese fighter out there that's actually rising up the ranks. I forget her name. The name slips me, but I actually talked to her at the Hall of Fame ceremony and actually talked to her in UFC in New Jersey. And yeah, I think that's going to be a big money fight for China. I think it's 2 prominent Chinese fighters fighting. I think it will draw a lot of revenue from the Chinese market. And yeah, I would look forward to seeing them fight, considering that they're 2 of the best in the world. I forget her name. Slips my fucking mind, but yeah, I'd love to see that fight. I think that fight's very, very fascinating.
Huh. Yeah, and the other fight, because he's a former training partner of mine, the Pedro Munoz Cheeto fight, I'm going Pedro.
True. I'm looking forward to Chris Weidman fighting, and I'm the biggest Chris Weidman nut hugger because of how much he's contributed to the sport. He is such a legend. He beat Anderson Silva when Anderson Silva was absolutely dominant, not once, but twice, as Gabe was so nice and so kind to correct me. But yeah, I'm always rooting for Chris Weidman no matter what fight he's in. And you and I were talking in the green room, and we're talking about the slide and the skid that Chris Weidman is suffering right now. And I hope he cracks it, because the last time he was in Boston, it was 2019. I really hope he gets back to form and gets back to the Chris Weidman of old. And I hope that he wins this fight, to be honest with you.
Yeah, me too. I mean, he's fighting Brad Tavares, and I have nothing against Brad. Brad's a tough fighter. But I also, too, I think Weidman is an exceptional fighter, and hopefully is able to get back to what he once was. And I actually, prior to the show, because you and I were talking in the green room, I looked up his record, and he's lost he had this amazing surge up to championship level, and then lost again. Admittedly, he lost to some really, really good fighters, but and that just shows how MMA is. It's like really, any given night, any moment. But I hope he gets back to the win column and gets back in there. And I also think it does something for the 85-pound division.
Yeah, and even if you lose in the UFC, it's not really a loss to me, and it shouldn't be a loss to anybody, considering that you are fighting in the top tier league. Can you imagine, like, the NFL? Does anybody remember the losses that the Jets had last season, or any type of football team that had? I certainly don't fucking remember, because when you're playing at the highest level and you're playing at the biggest league in the world, like, who's gonna fucking remember? Who should remember any type of losses? I don't think losses or wins obviously matter, but I don't think losses matter either, considering you're fighting the best versus the best. You're fighting, like, imagine playing a video game. It's 99 overall stats versus 99 overall stats. I mean, it's MMA. It's a sport at the highest level, and I don't down anybody for losing. I just hope he wins to gain the respect back of the casual viewer who doesn't understand that concept, that when you're fighting at the highest level, wins and losses happen. But when you have those big brass balls, it doesn't fucking matter, considering that you're fighting for the biggest league and the biggest promotion in the world. And you fought for the biggest promotion in the world with those big brass Gabe Rudiker balls.
I obviously am in agreement. And I think anyone that gets into the cage and then fights in the UFC in particular, you are an elite athlete. You have the opportunity to test yourself, and sometimes with your testing, you fail, and that's hard on the athlete more than it is on anyone else. But the casual fan at home doesn't recognize that.
Yeah.
And they're still going to feel the way they feel, and that's okay too.
Right. And their opinion is like assholes. Everyone's got them, and they all stink.
Bam.
Oh my goodness! Holy shit! So, are you ready for topic number 3?
Yes.
I have to rearrange it because it was supposed to be tailor made for Sam Avey, and Sam Avey is not going to be here tonight. I apologize for all the people watching at home. Busy lives with fighters, but are you ready for topic number 3? Four-time world champion, Mr. Gabe. Okay, let's go. Topic number 3.
Clean hands, feet on the feet. 3.
So this question was if Sam Ivey is going to be fighting Jake Paul. But now I'm going to ask you, Mr. Gabe, who should Jake Paul fight? Gabe, wait the fuck up. Come on.
What?
Sir.
It's another topic that I'm sorry.
Jesus Christ, Gabe. Who should Jake Paul fight next?
Oh, yeah, Jake Paul. I don't care.
Okay.
Fair enough. I'd like to see him fight some actual boxers. Are we talking about MMA? Or are we talking about boxing?
I think because we were talking about, again, how interesting it is for Nate Diaz to fight Jake Paul in MMA. I want that fight. I think that should be the next fight. I think he should fulfill that promise because if you guys don't remember, but in 2021, when Jake Paul beat Ben Askren, Jake Paul actually offered to wrestle him, and then they kind of flipped the switch on that, and then they decided that was not going to happen. So I want Jake Paul to actually fight Nate Diaz in MMA.
He would wrestle Ben Askren?
Yeah, they were going to wrestle, and then Ben Askren.
I think Askren would ragdoll him. I don't think. I know. He would
fuck him up.
Ragdoll him like a baby. But
on another level.
So in MMA, the Nate fight obviously makes sense. In boxing, I want to see him fight a mid-tier boxer. It doesn't have to be anyone, He says he wants to fight a Canelo. I think Canelo would walk through him. I want to see him fight. I don't know. I can't think of a mid-tier guy. But I mean, we saw how he fought Tommy Fury, and Tommy Fury beat the brakes off of him.
Yeah, that was. I was doing a play-by-play for a website. They invited me to do so. So I ordered that fight. It took place in Saudi Arabia, and Tommy Fury beating the fucking shit out of him, beating him to the punch. Holy Santa Claus shit. Tommy Fury light that ass up. And there's a reason why, and you brought it up too, that MMA boxing is different than boxing, considering with MMA boxing, you have a lot more room and wiggle room to get those shots off, considering the fact that people are worried about the takedown, they're worried about the kicks. There's a lot of weapons that people are worried about. That's why, Tyron Woodley was able to get knockouts being a wrestler, because there's a lot of weapons that people are worried about,
Another thing that people don't take into consideration is when you train for everything and then you isolate it into just doing one thing, you have to always remind yourself, don't throw a kick, don't throw a knee, don't go for a takedown, don't go for all these things if it's just boxing. And in the back of your mind, and I've done boxing events, the whole time I'm like, don't throw a knee, don't clinch and go for a takedown. So that's a big part of it as well that people don't take into consideration. When you are a mixed martial artist, you have the ability to do all of the techniques. And when you isolate it into just one thing, and boxing is very, very isolated. It's not even kickboxing. It is a drastically different sport, and you have to play it in your mind. Don't do the other stuff. Don't. And like we saw with Nate, he put him in a guillotine in one of the rounds, and we're going for a second, another one. Well, dude, it's like it's programmed in you. You've been fighting for X amount of years, and then you're supposed to isolate it into one thing. And even if you box in the room periodically, it's still your muscle memory is going to kick in. You have to remind yourself, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that.
If Nate Diaz choked him unconscious, I would have laughed my dick off. Just say.
I would have loved it. I mean, it would have been a DQ. He was going to lose either way. I mean, if he would have slept him, would it have really been a loss?
I don't think so. It was the same thing with when Conor McGregor fought Mayweather. Of course, I wanted Mayweather to win because I was just getting tired of Conor McGregor's mouth. But I was like, wouldn't it be funny if Conor McGregor, he's losing the fight and then he just throws a fucking high kick and just knocks his head into the third row? Like, come on, man. That would be fucking. Yeah, exactly.
It would have been very on character for Conor, on his character, right? That he plays. Yeah.
Oh, I'm losing 9-0. Okay, come take this head kick, bitch. Bam, and just fucking.
That would be amazing. But yeah, so I gotta say, Nate Diaz in MMA and any mid-tier boxer in boxing.
You are the man. Are you ready for topic number 4, good sir? All right, the four-time world champion race. Let's go to topic number 4.
Love question 4.
You guys are gonna get me fucking fired. Topic number 4. Jesus Christ. Okay, we'll talk about it. UFC class action lawsuit grows in numbers. So apparently they're up to about 1,200 fighters, and they actually passed the first stages of this lawsuit. Gabe, you're part of this lawsuit. What say you? What are your thoughts about the class action lawsuit?
I mean, I've been part of it for over 10 years now. And to think that it's just now getting like, every once in a while my attorney will send me an email like, oh, hey, this is going on. I don't see there going to be any change soon. But the whole reason why I got involved in the lawsuit in the first place is to make the landscape for MMA fighters better across the board. And when the discovery went through and we found out that the UFC was paying the fighters between 12 and 15% of the revenue, that proves the fighters are not being taken care of. Dana has a private jet and multiple, cars and houses and you know what? Rightfully so. He deserves it. But as a matter of fact, we were just talking about Jake Paul. I was reading an article earlier today where Jake Paul said if they made the base salary $50,000, it would cost the UFC maybe $20 million a year. But that would be life-changing for fighters and those that are willing to put their livelihood on the line. And that's realistically what we did. I've had a neck fusion. I've had a back surgery. I still can't breathe out of my nose. And again, did I make the decision to sign the contract? Yes, I did. But they put you in a position where you don't have a choice but to sign the contract. I fought Joe Lazon in Boston on 2 weeks' notice.
I know about this story. We brought up many a times. I'm like, holy shit! Now you add context to that fight.
I fought him on 2 weeks' notice. I had spent 2 months recovering from a back injury, and I got the phone call from my manager, and I go, "Well, go back to I can't remember the matchmaker at the time," and I go, "Can we get a little extra money? Because I'm taking the fight to keep this fight on the card." And Joe Silva, and my manager laughs at me. He's like, "I'll try, but I know what they're going to tell me." And he calls me back. He goes, "They told me verbatim what I thought they were going to tell me. No, because we have another 5 fighters that will take the fight for less money than we're offering him just to take the fight." And it was 10 and 10. It wasn't a lot of money, and that was at a time frame when you could have outside sponsorship. And thankfully, because of that, we were on the Spike TV portion of the card, and I made a good amount of money on the sponsorship. But in the current deal, I would have made $2,500. So I would have made, and then don't get me wrong, the UFC does pay you for a corner and 1 hotel room, but I needed at least 2 cornermen. So I had to get another hotel room, and I had to get another plane ticket. So I probably spent another $2,000 on just flying out my cornermen and just paying for, and not to mention food and everything else, just to fight. So,
Crazy.
The idea of the fighters getting a better share, and then also having the ability to, I can't use my likeness. I can put pictures, but any footage of my WC fights, my title wins, if I put that up on YouTube or anything, it immediately gets pulled off for trademark on me. I can't utilize myself, which is just insane to think about. And look, all I want is a change up for the fighters going forward and to have the ability to do what's right. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. And so the lawsuit, people can say whatever they want about the lawsuit, but when you look at what has transpired over the time, how much money the UFC has made and how little the fighters have made off of that, it's a disparity, and it shouldn't be such.
And I love the UFC. I love working these events. I love the staff. I love everything about them. I'm a big fan of Dana. Dana has done nothing but treat me with the utmost respect. But at the same time, too, you can still love UFC and still love mixed martial arts as a whole. Like, and again, you guys put the sports on your back, and you're fighting when no one was watching, except like nerdy little me who tape traded and fucking, my mom's rubbed 2 nickels together to buy those tapes and buy that tap out T-shirt. And my family and I were very modest. We lived paycheck to paycheck, but my mom still supported my addiction for mixed martial arts. It's not just the fans, because the fans have nothing to do with it, because and obviously building up the fans in the sport to, for it to be as big as it is, that's great and all, but there's no sport without the fighters. You guys put the sport, you guys put the sports on your back. You guys broke your back for them to put the Reebok T-shirt on you and to put those sponsors on you and to have a sport that is what it is today. Yeah. So it's just, you can still support the UFC, which I do, and I love the UFC. Like it's my favorite promotion in the world. It's my dream job. But you can still support the UFC, but being on the right side of history and supporting the people that broke their backs, like Mr. Gabe, to build the sport to what it is today. And my stance is always going to be the same, no matter where I go, and no matter. And actually, Jake, I love Jake. And he said, you know what, just don't talk about any type of lawsuits or anything, because you don't want to ruffle feathers or anything. But I'll talk about it, because even the NFL got sued. And now everybody, even O.J. Simpson, who's definitely a murderer, he still gets a severance. Like, if you break your back for the sport to build a sport to what it is today, you should be compensated for it, hands down, hand over fist. I want everyone to get paid $1 billion. I wish it was a sustainable business model, but it's not. But for the people that broke their backs to build the sport, I believe that you should be fairly compensated. And I think, they should settle. They should give all those fighters and everybody that came before you guys and everybody that came after you guys to get that Spike TV deal, that Fox deal, that those distribution deals. I think you guys should be paid accordingly. That's my personal opinion.
Well, I mean, whether I get paid from the lawsuit or not, I just want a positive change for fighters as a whole, Right. I think that's like, it's the same thing as like being a teacher or being a parent. You want what's best for you don't want to go through all the hardships that you went through with your children, right? You want them to aspire to be better and to have the opportunities to do more. And that's how it is, in a lot of ways. I was fighting not for, I wasn't doing it for fame. I wasn't doing it for money. I was doing it because I enjoyed the capacity to test myself. And I failed on a lot of those tests, but I failed, I was successful in others. But even saying that, when the compensation is going to everyone else, I question, why am I not able to, why don't I get a little cut of that? And why don't I also have the opportunity to show what I did,
Yeah. And it goes like that too. And I like you guys are, and once again, being on the right side of history, because you have a gym, and a lot of the old timers, just like you, and I don't mean to call you old, Mr. Gabe, because you're only as old as you feel. And obviously you can still go.
95. Yeah.
But nevertheless, you're training the next generation of fighters. And because you guys built the sport to what it is today, and you're continuously building the sport by having these gyms set up, these infrastructure set up to raise the next generation of combat sports athletes, you want the sport to be better. And you guys, your say should be the holy gospel, considering that you built the sport into a conglomerate that's now on the confines of publicly traded companies. And I think your opinion's valid. I think everybody of that generation, their opinions are valid, because they're trying to pave the way. Not only do they pave a way for the sport to make billions, paving a way for more athletes to be into the sport, and they want to make it better than what like you guys experience, like going to the sport.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's a good thing for everybody. I mean, obviously, it won't be so good for the the executives, but the reality is, at some point, there has to be some type of change, and it's for the betterment of all.
Absolutely. So, are you ready for topic number 5 and the final topic, good sir? All right. Let's go. Topic number 5.
Let's make a big 5.
Hiccups. All right, topic number 5, Mr. Gabe. What is one thing nobody in the world knows about you? What one thing?
That nobody. I mean, that's a tough one because I'm sure there are people here and there that know a little bit of everything. This is one that's not known by. So there's a good amount of people that know, but not a lot of people know about it. When I was in high school, I sang and played guitar in a punk rock hardcore band.
Hey, no shit. You're gonna be in the next Nirvana.
No, the funniest part about it was the drummer was a better guitar player than I was, and the bass player were a better guitar player than I was, and I bet both of them could sing better than me too. But I was put in the position as the guitar player singer, and it was not good.
What was your band's name though?
Hot Rod.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah. And it was because our bass player, we were at a party, and he was like 20, so he was old. But we were at a party, and this like 55-year-old woman happened to be there, and she went up to him and she's like, "Ooh, I bet you'd be a hot rod." And so that became the name of the band. Yep. So that's now there are people that know that, but and as a matter of fact, if you go on my Facebook, I think there's actually a picture of me singing, playing guitar, which is just so embarrassing. But yeah, that's there's probably other things too, but that's one that comes to mind that some people know, but not everybody knows.
Well done, sir. Well done. So, are you ready for the nerd fact of the week before we wrap this up like a Christmas present?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, boys and girls, let's go with the nerd fact of the week brought to by our good friends at Nerd Focus. Here we go. So we're going to ask this question to Smiling Sam. Obviously, that did not happen. But nerd fact of the week: Matt Lynn lost to 3 former UFC world champions. Who are they?
Vitor Belfort.
Okay.
Did he lose to Lawler?
Yeah.
And Murillo Bustamante.
No, I think didn't
the Murillo fight was for the championship, so that doesn't count. Shit. That wouldn't. He lost to Murillo for the championship, so that would not count because he wasn't a former champion. But I got Vitor. I got what else do I say?
Vitor, Robbie Lawler.
Yeah. Shit. I'm on those two, right?
Well, so let me check. Yeah, he did lose to Robbie Lawler. He lost to Vitor Belfort.
Yeah.
Actually, it's 4 people. It's it's actually 4 former world champions.
Shit, I don't know the other one or the other two. What are the other two?
Quentin Rampage Jackson and Murillo Bustamante.
I said Murillo.
You did say Murillo.
I did say Murillo, so I got 3.
You got 2.
But we also conceded that the Murillo fight doesn't count because that was for the champion. He wasn't a former champion when they fought.
Very true.
Yeah.
You have to be more descriptive with those questions, but nevertheless,
right.
Big victory for Gabe.
I'm like 3 for 5 now. I feel like I almost feel good.
Well done, sir. Well done. And that was the Nerd Fact of the Week brought to you by our good friends at Nerd Focus.
David, I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
What is something the world doesn't know that they should know about David Potter? Yeah, tough one, huh?
Not really too sure, to be honest with you. Let me think about that.
Okay.
I mean, I know how to play piano.
I didn't know that. Really? Do you
Yeah.
play well?
Not necessarily, but I know the basics. I know the keys and everything like that. So I can hold my own, but I played piano since I was a kid.
All right, we should start a band.
We should start a bit. All right, boys and girls, we're gonna wrap this up like a Christmas present. Mr. Gabe, thank you so much. Final words, final thoughts for the four-time.
Ouch. I hope everyone got some entertainment out of it. I know we didn't have any guests, but I always have a good time talking to Mr. Potter. It's unfortunate Mr. Hatton wasn't here, but hopefully we'll make up for that next week.
Absolutely. And I learned a bunch of facts about you, especially you were supposed to fight with Takanori Gomi. I did not know that. And I appreciate your conversations. We need to have an Ask Gabe episode. We need to continue that. We need part 2 because I had a long diatribe. Blah, blah, blah. I can't even pronounce my fucking words. But I had a long fucking list of questions and just going over your career top to bottom, left and right. And we need to do that again. I think we need a Mr. Gabe episode. Just saying.
Do it. Let me know.
Fuck yeah. Sounds good. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we should have a great guest for next week. Tune in. I appreciate you, Mr. Gabe, four-time world champion, for joining us on this edition of Fight World Live. Tune in. We're now number 4 on Amazon's top 100 sports fan shows in the world. Yep, one up, baby.
All right.
Let's fucking go. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us for Fight World Live. Check all my handiwork for UFC 292. Buy the pay-per-view on ESPN+. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is the Fight World Live. We'll see you later. Peace.